Are you tired of using your feet or your arms to get around whenever you head out on the water? Or perhaps you're venturing out onto a larger lake and you need a little bit more propulsion and security when you're out there. Do you know how easy it is to attach an electric motor to your Outcast pontoon boat? Let me show you how. Outcast Boats makes a wide variety of watercraft to meet your needs whenever you're on the water. On today's video tip, I'm going to show you how to install an electric motor on your Outcast pontoon boat. We're going to talk about motors, batteries, how to attach it, and how to use it when you're out on the water. One important consideration when adding an electric motor to your pontoon boat is making sure you're falling within your local regulations or the regulations where you're traveling. In some jurisdictions, special licenses or permits are required to operate a pontoon boat with an electric motor. Here where I live in Canada, I'm required to have a boat operator's card, for example. So to be sure to check your local regulations, or again, the regulations of where you're traveling, to make sure you're compliant. So you might be wondering why you need an electric motor on your Outcast pontoon boat. You've got a good set of oars, you've got a good set of fins, you're healthy. Well, there's certain situations where you're going to be fishing a large body of water. You can tire yourself out. You could be facing a little bit of wind. It's nice to have that propulsion behind you to get yourself around when needed. Also, you could be facing a day with inclement weather, storms rolling in, and you're going to need to get off the water fast. These are all situations where an electric motor on your pontoon boat is really a handy thing to have. So let's quickly go through what you're going to need to turn your pontoon boat into a motorized pontoon boat. Well, first of all, you're going to need an electric motor. Now, 12-volt electric motors, that's what you're going to need, are rated in different pound thrust. 30 pound, 40 pound, or like this one, a 55 pound thrust motor. With a 55 pound thrust motor like this one, of course I have the full power at my disposal when I need to move fast. And if I need to move slower, of course I can just throttle it back and cruise at a slower speed. So I've got both slow speed and high speed with this motor. Everybody wonders about the weight. And the difference between a 40 pound or a 30 pound thrust motor and a 55 pound thrust motor in the motors I like to use is negligible. The weight comes in the next component I'm going to talk about, and that's your battery. That's where the weight is. I use a lithium powered battery. They last long, they hold a charge forever, it seems, 3 or 4 days depending on your use, and most importantly, they're light. A lead acid battery is a heavy sucker. This is very light, lift it with one hand, and you don't have to worry about the weight. So the weight in this system is not so much in the motor, but in the battery. So if you can, choose a lithium battery. The other thing I've added to my setup here is a short section of 2x4, simply to build up the width on the motor plate so I don't have to thread endlessly on the clamps. It also extends the motor out a little bit because I put the block on the backside here, and that allows me to also use my anchor when I want to sit and fish from an anchored position. So let's talk about how easy it is to attach an electric motor to your pontoon boat. I'm going to put the battery in first, then I'm going to attach my electric motor. Remember, I'm using a 2x4 to extend the width of the plate, so it's just less effort to attach the clamps, and also extends the motor slightly more rearward so I can operate my anchor. Once that's in place, I'm going to feed the wires through the clamps just to keep them manageable, attach the leads to the terminals on the battery, red to positive, black to negative, put the cover of the battery case on, use my bungee cords to secure it in place so it doesn't slip or fall. Once you've got everything hooked up, stand safely away from the head of the motor, give the throttle a quick twist to make sure the prop is turning, everything's hooked up, and you're ready to go. It's also easy to outfit your Stealth Pro with an electric motor. All right, so how do you use the electric motor? We pushed away from shore. It's time to fire it up and go somewhere. So first thing you want to do is streamline your boat. And how do you do that? Well, you can take your fins out of the water, navigate them over the footbar. You don't want your legs down, creating drag, or worse, could flip you forward. Stow those oars. And then you're just going to activate the motor. You're going to reach behind, find the motor handle, turn it on, and to steer is easy. If I want to go to the right, the head of the motor to the left. If I want to go to the left, I steer it to the right. Whenever you start out slow and controlled. There's no need to go at warp 9. The only time you really need speed is in a safety issue, something's happened on the water to somebody else, you need to be there, weather rolls in, or you realize you're past your time on the water and it's time to go home. It's that simple. Once you get to your destination where you're going to fish, then you can get your fins back in the game and your oars for that closer, more finesse navigation and positioning. It's that simple. So hopefully I've shown you just how easy it is to add an electric motor to any one of the pontoon boats in the Outcast fleet. We talked about what you need, how to install it, the reasons why you'd want to add an electric motor. Don't forget to check your local regulations to make sure you're compliant. For more information on the products and accessories seen in today's video tip, please visit us on the web at outcastboats.com, and don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. I look forward to seeing you motoring around on the water.